Before I begin, I would like to mention a quote, a very famous quote by Rachel Jackson, where she said, "Our youth are not failing the system. The system is failing our youth. Our youth is not failing the system. The system is failing our youth." Ironically, the very youth who are being treated the worst are the young people who are going to lead us out of this nightmare. So this is something which we truly believe here at Self Help for Youth, and we believe that our youth today has the best potential to solve the problems of the world. We just need to give them the right tools and resources, and they can do wonders, inshallah. So, since today's session is focused on Kuwait, and I am also born brought up over here in Kuwait, there are certain challenges which are faced, which I think are very relevant even when I was young and even to today's youth. This is not a generalization, but I think these challenges can be seen by a lot of people who have stayed here. The first major challenge which I feel is the youth in Kuwait or in the Middle East they face is that it is difficult for them to they have the lack of exposure of life. There are certain realities of life which they do not face. For example, it is difficult for the children to relate to poverty, to relate to social problems. It is very difficult for the youth living in Kuwait to know what is like lack of electricity or lack of water. Because, alhamdulillah, even we passed a difficult phase in Corona, but Kuwait being highly developed, there wasn't many problems like that. The other major challenge, which the youth in Kuwait face is that the children are very pampered, and the parents try their best to give to the children whatever they ask for. So because of that, the children do not realize, many of the struggles the parents go through to give the children what they ask for. This is, something they're aloof about and they don't really understand. Actually, I have a very interesting story about this. That I had a friend who was schooling here in the Gulf and then went to India for engineering. He completed engineering, then he came back to the Gulf and started working. After a few years, it was time for his father to retire. So then his company decided to give him, a good farewell. And they gave him a farewell and they gave him the final check, after retiring and working for 30 years. My friend, as soon as he saw, when they came back home and he saw that his father had got this check, when he saw the amount on the check after working for 30 years and he calculated what his father's salary would be like, that got tears to his eyes. He could not believe that how his father actually managed to support him and his brother, studies, the house rent, the food for the family, and everything they asked for. You know, he could not imagine how his father did all this for the last 30 years, and they could not ever hear his father complaining about a lack of money. So this is something that the parents, especially here in the Gulf, hide from their children, and this is one thing which the children do not understand when they are brought up over here. This could be relevant in other countries as well, but I'm just talking from a personal perspective. Finally, one other challenge which I think the youth face over here in the Gulf is the overprotectiveness of parents. The parents do not allow their children, to go out a lot, to mingle a lot with strangers, and to meet many people. This is something, the parents always here in the Gulf try to, try their best to keep a watch on them every time, whatever they do, wherever they go out. So this actually creates a lot of dependence on the children for any task they're given. Before I conclude, actually, I would like to mention that it's not always bad for the youth in Kuwait. There are some really advantages of staying in such countries and staying in the Gulf. One of the advantages which I feel is very relevant is religion, as earlier mentioned by Dawood Bhai as well. That religion, children over here are so close to the religion and they're not exposed to many of the fitnas or many of the different types of things which people in other countries in the West or maybe in India, would face. So this is one of the biggest advantages of staying in a country like Kuwait, where they do not are not exposed to many of the fitnas around what happened. Maybe if they would live in a non-Muslim country. Finally, I would just like to conclude that the best thing about the youth, which I feel and I personally believe, and I see that in a lot of children today, is that the youth in these countries are really honest and innocent. They're very innocent, very honest, and they believe whatever they are told, and they're they hardly, it's very I mean, it's not difficult, but they try not to lie and they obey their parents and respect the elders. So, which is, some of the good things which I've seen here in the youth.